Highlights this morning on GMFB. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs running all over the Bears, throwing all over them. Where's Khalil Mack? Where's anybody to stop them? This was the Sunday night matchup, keeping a first-round bye now. Those Chiefs within their sights. That's right. They can have a bye still. The Patriots would have to lose to the Dolphins for that to happen. More on this one, what it all means. In just a few moments, Kyle shaking his head.
Yeah, that play was, Leonard Floyd ran to the bean on that play. That's why they put what Mahomes walked in.
What about this thing? Very un-Mahomesian.
He appeared to be counting all the people drafted in front of him.
I loved it.
Did you?
All right.
Yeah.
Welcome to Good Morning Football. We're breaking down all your storylines, and the playoff pictures, of course. Who's in, who's out after Week 16. Big game tonight as well. We're presented by Intuit QuickBooks. We've got highlights. Let's go to the NFC East.
Let's do it. They played a game there in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So it's the Cowboys of Dallas and the Eagles. Here's the deal. Cowboys win this game. They've beaten Philly several in a row. They're the NFC East champs. They get the playoffs. They get a gold watch. They're at home. Yada-da. But if the Eagles win it, my friends, they're alive, and they're in first. And then we got business. And guess who's got business? Dallas Goedert. Remember there's a story about the Cowboys could have taken him in the draft? What do they love in Texas more than Dallas, God, and Dirt? It's all three of them. Dallas Goedert. Touchdown, third quarter. Zach Ertz got banged up in this one. Goddard had a huge day, and so did this guy. Peter, here's a moment for you. Greg Ward Jr., tell us about him.
Greg Ward Jr. was a great high school quarterback, a fantastic quarterback at Houston. Played in the AAF, moves to wide receiver, practice squad, and now is the #1 receiver in Philly.
Miles Sanders. So you're telling me this AAF practice squad guy is lighting up the best team Jerry Jones can
San Antonio
buy?
Commander.
And he's beating America's team. Okay.
Sanders pretty angry.
Yes, you're right, Kay. Fourth quarter, when he get angrier, though, Garrett just blank. Just blank. Amari Cooper is on the sideline for fourth in the season. No Amari Cooper, no Randall Cobb. Let's just chuck it up to Gallup, who can't make the play. The coverage is perfect. Everyone is enraged, rightfully so, that the best Cowboys weren't on the field for this, especially when Dallas had all their timeouts as Jerry leaves. Maybe you say, hold on. Let's get the perfect play with the perfect lineup for fourth down. They don't. Here's your perfect play. Miles, goodbye. You want to win some fantasy titles? Nah, fam. Enjoy second place. You lost. I slid. The Eagles are in first place in the NFC East. Who wants this division? Apparently they do, because they just took it with business in Week 17 forthcoming. They got to face Danny Dimes next week, who would flip the table on them. But let's go to the other side. Dallas is 7-8, finally gives up that first place in the NFC East. Dak, what do you have to say about 9 points against your arch rival?
We didn't get it done. We're too talented of a team and individuals to not make the plays, starting with myself. And it's disappointing, it's frustrating, but we all take responsibility. And as I said, it begins with me, and we're too talented. And we just didn't execute the way that we're capable of doing, and they did.
When it was time to do it in the crunch time, we needed one win to solidify the division, and we couldn't do it. So I wouldn't say that, you can't just say that we're a better team because we may have better players on the roster. I do believe we're a better team, but the team that goes out there and plays the best is the one that's going to win, and that's what happened tonight.
When you get yourself technically in a spot to kind of come into a Philadelphia team that's got the players they've got, even though they had missing a lot of them, when you get in this spot, you give yourself a chance to be real disappointed. We are. The fact that we didn't get any scores, the fact the game turned out the way it did, they played well. I'm not allowed to say about anything else other than it's very disappointed. We all expected to leave here as the NFC's champs. We're not.
Sorry, Zeke, you weren't the best team last night, but you could still win the division. Those Cowboys, if the Eagles, of course, lose the next game, and if the Cowboys beat the Redskins next Sunday, the Eagles move into first place in the NFC East. They can lock up the division with a win over the Giants and Saquon Barkley, who looks awesome in Week 17. A little programming note for everyone, marking your calendars. Last night, the NFL announced both of the NFC East matchups. The two teams we saw last night, Redskins at Cowboys and Eagles at Giants, they're no longer 1 p.m. Eastern games. They have moved to 4:25 p.m. Eastern starts. Trace, what did we learn last night? I feel like we were really fueling up to this game for weeks and weeks, if not months.
We were, and I feel like the Eagles have been fueling up for this game for a second half of a Giants win, 4 quarters of a Redskins win, and then coming into this thing. We know the storyline with the Eagles. No Alshon Jeffrey, no Jordan Howard. It doesn't matter. They find a way to win, and I got to give credit to Carson Wentz here. I think Carson Wentz threw this team on his back, and although they only scored 17 points, at no point did you feel like he was being outplayed by Dak Prescott, which has been the case the last 4 times they played. Carson Wentz made all the big plays, completed all the big passes, didn't turn the ball over in the red zone, and found a way to get a victory when it mattered most. This Eagles team right now, whether it be Miles Sanders or Greg Ward or Boston Scott, who played his butt off, they have found a way to rally around their quarterback and their coach. I look to the other sideline, and at no point in this game did I see the Dallas Cowboys say, you know what, Dak, take us there. Jason Garrett, I'm inspired, let's go. Mike Groh gets a lot of heat in Philadelphia. He's the offensive coordinator. They always are giving him trouble. Let's get rid of him. Let's do this thing. Hey, Kellen Moore, you got head coaching talk before you even called a play as an offensive coordinator? Right. This is a colossal fail on so many levels. If you look at the names on the roster, the Cowboys should never lose to the names on the roster to the Eagles. But fortunately for Eagles fans, you actually have to play the game. And when they play the game, coaching matters, belief in your quarterback matters, and actually football matters. Eagles, good win.
Doesn't Dallas feel like empty calories? Like this time of year, you're just all eating just crap, peppermint bark, eggnog. Like that's Dallas. It doesn't amount to anything. And, you know, you look at some of these teams that are really good. They have so much personality and so much identity. Like, you know when you're watching the Ravens, it's a party. They're having fun. The Niners have that, like, pro wrestling thing. The Patriots even, like, we're one percenters. Or, like, no one believes it. There's such an identity. If you were to close your eyes and think about the Dallas Cowboys right now, we do that wall of frame segment. What's in the frame? I don't even know what the image is to take away from this season. From the top down, there's just no heat. Like, Jason Garrett, no heat. Dak, no heat. Even Zeke doesn't think. Amari, nothing. The coordinator looks like he's going to his piano recital. The only player on this team who brings any passion or identity was a player in the 1964 Arkansas Razorbacks who owns the team. That's the only one you ever hear from. So we watch him every week. We talk about him every week. It's just the Cowboys. We're sexy. We're cool. No, you're not. You haven't been for like 20 years. And I'm tired of it. And they got beaten by a team yesterday that was better than them. That's it.
They looked so good against the Rams, though, didn't they?
That was the 1 week. And I think it was fool's gold. I think it was when you take the paddles to him and say clear, it gets the spike, and then it goes back to flatline. They got the clear.
Speaking of heat, the seats of these coaches for the Eagles were hot. I mean, we're talking head coach, offense coordinator, defense coordinator, and that brings you to a guy we're not talking about. How about Jim Schwartz?
Yeah, talk
in this
about
game?
it.
You know, you come into this game.
Your former head coach?
My former head coach, where everybody's talking about how the Dallas Cowboys are loaded, they're healthy, they got Zeke, Amari, Dak, they got tight ends. These guys flew around. They held Zeke to 47 yards. The Cowboys didn't even score a TD. Amari Cooper, #1 wideout, was sitting on the sideline at certain points, and you can say that's fatigue, you can say that's endurance, you can say they were trying to rest him, or you can say he just had enough and this defense was all over him. When you watch these highlights, Dak Prescott was slightly off because there was a mix of defense. There was man-to-man coverage, there were blitzes, and look how they are draped all over the wide receivers. Credit to this defense, because all year, what do we hear? Well, I don't know about their second.
Yeah, it's hurt.
I don't know about their umbrella. I don't know about their DBs were all over the place, and they smothered the wideouts, the pass catchers, the playmakers for the Dallas Cowboys. So shout out to this Eagles defense, because what we'll talk about is what didn't the Cowboys do? What did the Eagles do? And they shut down the Cowboys, who clearly had more talent, or at least healthy and available talent on the field. And shout out to Schwartz.
Minus Gallup. Gallup was awesome.
Gallup was good. They could have used Gallup at the end there if he could just grab it, but that's what happens. But to Nate's point, third down, huge play. Cowboys driving. It's Vinny Curry, who was on the Super Bowl team, got released, goes to the Buccaneers, then comes back, and then in the biggest moment, the fourth down play, it's Sidney Jones, a fourth cornerback who has been beleaguered by the Eagles fans, beleaguered on the field, hasn't had a great injured, comes back. Now, it's always the Eagles' way to have contributions from guys like that. Vinny Curry, Sidney Jones, and in the big game against the Packers, it was, you know, the fourth-string cornerback or Nigel Bradham. That's the Eagles' way. And at the Cowboys side of it, you never got the feeling like a guy was ever going to step up. Like, who's going to be the Cowboys hero? It just didn't happen.
Think about Schwartz coming into this game. You're telling me that Kellen Moore, a kid that I signed to my team, the Detroit Lions, is going to come in and beat me? He's going to beat... No. I know exactly what he's thinking. I'm Mr. Miyagi. That's the Karate Kid.
He's got the chopsticks?
There's
a flip side to it, though.
Go ahead.
I think just quickly, probably people this morning are saying, why are you talking so much about the Cowboys? Give more love to the Eagles. I don't know if the Eagles are world beaters either. That's why I'm not that excited about it. Do you see the Eagles beating the Saints or Niners in the playoffs? I think they were the less bad team in this game, and credit to them. But I'm not doing backflips and doing Rocky speeches about this Eagles teams yet. If you're going to get in the playoffs, like the Cowboys aren't going to be there. You got to step up.
Let's check in with Ian Rappaport. Now he's somewhere in New York joining us at Rap Sheet. So the Cowboys offense was struggling. We know that, giving a lot of credit to Schwartz and that Eagles defense. But they also couldn't take off after the game on Sunday. Just a miserable day for Cowboys and their fan base, huh?
Yeah, a whole lot of things for the Dallas Cowboys that just could not get off the ground, including the fact that their charter was basically deemed not viable the minutes after the game. Usually it's a pretty quick thing. Teams shower up, they do some interviews in the locker room, they get out, they get right on the plane, they head back home. That did not happen for the Cowboys. They actually were delayed several hours while mechanics worked on their charter, and then the thought process was maybe get some new pilots and get a smaller plane, leave some members of the traveling party home, have them get back a different way or tomorrow, just bring back the essential people like, oh, I don't know, the players. And then finally at about 10:30, the original plane was actually fixed. They went to the airport by about 11 p.m. Eastern time. They were on the plane, and 2 a.m. they landed back in Dallas. Probably very tired, still probably very angry. Nothing worked for the Cowboys on Sunday.
All right, Ian, let's talk about the NFC West matchup between the Cardinals and the Seahawks. What's the latest on Kyler Murray's injury, and what can you tell us about Seahawks running backs Chris Carson, CJ Prosise, who also left the game with injuries?
Yeah, so many injuries for this big game, and obviously big loss for Seattle that got much worse when you take all this into account. First, though, Kyler Murray, he has a hamstring injury. He was listed as questionable pretty quickly and did not come back into the game for the Arizona Cardinals. They only have one game left. They have nothing to play for. Hard to see him fighting his way back on the field for Week 17, so his fabulous rookie season may, in fact, end up being over. And then for the Seahawks, Chris Carson may be out for the season. He's got a hip injury. He's not going to play this week, and Pete Carroll told reporters he may not play through the playoffs. That obviously is not all. CJ Prosise, one of their backup running backs, broke his arm. He is out for the season. And if that wasn't enough, Dwayne Brown, their standout left tackle, he is having knee surgery today, pretty minor. He's not going to play in Week 17, but he could, in fact, be back for the playoffs.
No Rashad Penny there. Then you got a couple running backs banged up. I wonder if they leave just like a trail of Skittles
Marshawn
out there somewhere and see if
To taste the rainbow?
Beast Mode might show up. I know he's almost 34. He hasn't played all season long, but I read the Seattle Times saying that he was at the facility earlier this month, just checking in to say hi. So, Ian, you say nothing. I'm just putting that narrative out there. I know you can't wink if you see what I'm saying. All right, thanks so much, Rapshi. Appreciate you. More JMFB up ahead. More highlights, of course. Breaking down the playoff picture. What changed with the Patriots offense in Buffalo? Schrager, you were there.
You were there. Brady started off 8 for 8, and they were rolling ever since. Unbelievable performance.
Super Bowl favorites? No.
Tough to go on the road.
Well, this team looks great, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of good teams in the AFC, Kay.
Were you saying that?